Super Mario 64 is one of my favorite video games of all time. I've played it ever since I was a little kid. And I gotta say, I've had so much fun playing the game. It was my favorite game growing up, and it's my favorite game now. And on this episode of Beta Fridays, we're going to be talking about the beta elements of Super Mario 64. I can't wait to talk about them because the game has changed so much. Like the beta, it's like almost a completely different game. So the first part of the beta is that Super Mario 64 was originally going to be an SNES game using the Super Effects chip, because it was rumored that Super Mario 64 was born out of a cancelled SNES project entitled Super Mario Effects, which would have been a 3D platformer using the Super Effects chip. However, reports of Super Mario Effects' existence seem to have been born out of a misinterpretation of a statement Shigeru Miyamoto made in an interview with Nintendo Power, in which he stated that he had the idea of making a 3D Mario game during Star Fox's development, leading the game being overhauled as the Nintendo 64 title Super Mario 64. There's no actual proof that a Super Effects using Mario platformer was in development at any point, and furthermore, Dylan Cuthbert, who contributed to the development of the Super Effects and worked with Miyamoto on Star Fox, claims that Super Mario Effects was actually a code name for the Super Effects chip itself. And that is very interesting. Another early idea. Well, these are early ideas. 32 courses were initially planned for the game, but only 15 of them made it into the final project. Now the thing is that we don't really know what these 32 courses is. They don't really have names, which is interesting. In some sketchups of the game's early development, Super Mario history, Mario was seen jumping on a piano with the phrase, "walk atop a piano." It's in Japanese text, so I don't really know what it means, but he is also seen climbing a ladder, swinging around a pole, and pushing a door and a block of ice. It's very interesting, I gotta say. The crouching trip kick present in the final game was intended to be for attacking short, small enemies, but the developers never added any enemies that were specifically targeted by that move. So here's the interesting part of the beta that I need to get out of the way. It's really interesting. So whenever you were a kid, you probably went to your nearest playground, your school, you're going to a friend's house, anything with friends, and you talk about Mario 64, and then one of your friends say, "Hey, I unlocked Luigi," and then they come up with a bogus thing where like, run around the statue 2,401 times, and then you'll unlock Luigi. But obviously these aren't real. I mean, Luigi is not in the game. But you're probably wondering, what does this have to do with Mario 64 beta? Well, it actually turns out that Luigi was actually planned to be in Mario 64. And it was in an interview with Satoru Iwata and Shigeru Miyamoto regarding New Super Mario Bros. Wii. Iwata stated that there used to be a multiplayer function that was scrapped from Super Mario 64, likely due to hardware limitations. It was also stated that one could see Mario and Luigi meet in the corridor. This, apparently, inspired the multiplayer function of New Super Mario Bros. Wii. Now here's the conversation. I'm going to read out what they say. Iwata says, "Ever since Mario Brothers, you've had your heart set on making a multiplayer Mario game. You've tried each time, but it's never quite come together. Even with Mario 64, it started with Mario and Luigi running around together, didn't it?" The Miyamoto said, "That's right. The screen was split and they went into the castle separately. When they meet in the corridor, I was incredibly happy. Laughs. Then there was also the mode where the camera is fixed and we see Mario running away, steadily getting smaller and smaller." Then Iwata says, "Yes, that's right." Then Miyamoto says, "There was a remnant of an experiment we did where Mario and Luigi would run away from each other, but you could still see them both, but we were unable to pull it off." And then in another interview with Koizumi, Luigi was dropped from the game because technical limitations prevented from having both of them and more elaborate levels. Now here's the other conversation. Koizumi says this may not be a direct answer, but personally, when we made Super Mario Galaxy, I had regrets about some things. I was able to do those things in Super Mario 3D World. Then Iwata said, regrets? Then Koizumi said, one goes all the way back to Super Mario 64. When we made the first prototype, Mario and Luigi were on a flat field. Then Iwata said, both of them. And then Koizumi said, yes, we ran it that way, but when we made the landforms, because of hardware limitations, we had a choice between cutting Luigi or making less elaborate landforms. Then in tears, we had to ask Luigi to leave. It's really sad because Luigi is my favorite Mario character, and I would have loved to see him, but Luigi was in the DS version, the DS remake of this game, so it's not really a big loss because they added him in that game, but, you know, it's still a little upsetting that he wouldn't have a little time to shine in this game, but, you know, and there's many hacks of Luigi, even fan-made hacks of, like, a different game of, like, Luigi. It's really cool. In fact, the team eventually decided to put Luigi in a Mario Brothers type mini-game instead, but the fact that the N64 was sold with only one controller factored into his total removal. After the game's release, rumors started to circulate about how to unlock Luigi. However, these were all proven false. The interesting part is the mini-games. Now, whoever played the Super Mario 64 DS, like the DS version, which is the remake, there was actually mini-games added. So, Luigi was added, then mini-games. Mini-games were supposed to be in the original, which is very interesting. So, I like that. However, there's another conversation that happened regarding the flagpole. You know, the flagpole you get at the end of each level in the other Mario games, and Super Mario 3D Land and 3D World. Well, the flagpole is going to be in Mario 64. Like, Koichi Hayashida regarding Super Mario 3D Land had a discussion with Iwata, and it was mentioned during a discussion about the flagpole that was once considered to be incorporated into Super Mario 64. Iwata says, the impression the goal pole makes has a big influence over the impression that the game makes. I suppose he thought that was an area that deserved effort. Then Hayashida says, later I asked Yoshiaki Koizumi-san, and he said that they tried a goal pole once for Super Mario 64. Then Iwata said, oh, is that so? And then Hayashida says, but at the time, when they thought about what was the most fun about playing in 3D, it was going to all sorts of places and looking for something. They decided on players getting a star. That's perfect because, you know, I'm not a big fan of 3D Land and 3D World. I mean, personally, I didn't really like 3D World that much. I mean, 3D Land was okay, but I preferred, like, collecting stuff in 3D adventure games, not going from one point to the other, because then that kind of defeats the purpose of a 3D game. So I'm glad that they went for getting stars instead. So that's a change that I don't really care for. I love that they had stars in the final game. Now, let's talk about some early builds. So, Mario was originally voiced differently, possessing a screechy, childlike voice rather than his current Italian voice. Now, I'm going to play the clips right now of what his voice was, because there's actually footage of his voice being played. It's really interesting. Take a listen. Would you believe what Mario games would be like today if Nintendo kept that voice? That's a scary thought. Anyway, Bowser also had a different voice, sounded more tiger-like. I don't have any, I don't have the sounds for it, so we can only go with what, you know, people say, but it apparently was a more tiger-like voice. Big Boo held a key instead of a power star inside him. The purpose of the keys were to unlock a variety of the various doors in Big Boo's haunt. There was even a key counter. Now here's the thing. Keys. here is my theory about another thing that keys would have been used for. I don't think that Nintendo has ever said this, but I think this could be a possibility. So you know how I said Luigi was supposed to be in the game? Well, I think that maybe one of these keys in the game was supposed to be for Luigi to unlock him. Very interesting indeed. I think that might have been what it was used for, but I could be wrong. But maybe this footage was, maybe this photo was used for when Luigi was in the game at the time. I don't know, but it could be a possibility. Anyway, the upgraded triple jump Mario receives after talking to Yoshi in the final game is the same animation used for when Mario enters any level in early builds. Jolly Roger Bay used to have music that is similar to the one used in the final game. Also, the sunken ship was much different in the E3 trailer, as it was more modern. It had a bridge and a funnel, and was white. The water was very white also. Mario's triple jump resembled Luigi's backward somersault in Super Mario 64 DX. The Thwomp Scrunt used to be a deep thunderous thud. Bowser in the Dark World was only the arena where the player fought Bowser, not an actual level. Blarg was planned to be in the game with its Super Mario World design. I'll show a picture right now. And it was loaded but not placed in Lethal Lava, Land, Bowser in the Fire Sea, and for some reason, I don't know why, Wing Mario Over the Rainbow. Now, it could be a possibility that Wing Mario Over the Rainbow could have had some lava in the level, but I don't know. It's still a little suspicious. It has only one animation in which it jumps out of lava and its textures are unfinished, meaning it was likely scrapped early in development. Originally, if Mario were not to get out of the wooden part of the slide in Tall Mountain, he wouldn't be led to a dead end, but instead further down a slope that wasn't present in the final game. Now, we're going to talk about some unused data and items and objects. Water mines, with graphics identical to spike bombs. They're kind of smaller than the ones used in the Bowser fights, where you swing him and then he's like, yeah, basically. And along with yellow exclamation mark switch. The presence of Yoshi eggs implies that Yoshi was originally going to play a more prominent role. Yeah, Yoshi eggs are in the game. If you don't know, Yoshi is at the top of the castle in the actual game. That gives you 3 1-ups and an improved triple jump. And there's also some unused platforms in the game, such as a flat, checkered platform resembling the 2 elevator platforms in Whomp's Fortress. This platform, however, does not do anything other than let Mario stand on it. Another unused platform is like the previous one, except it rotates after every couple of seconds. A cactus was found in the data for shifting Sandland, and frames of a flower can also be found in the Lethal Lava Land textures. It seems like both would have been used as background objects. 2 early life counters were used. The first one includes a clock-like look with a clock hand pointing at Mario's health. The second one is similar to the final counter, but it decreased clockwise instead of counterclockwise. There's an unused HUD icon of the key, which only exists in the Japanese version. It was replaced by a U in the European version and removed completely in the US version. Now, here are some unused enemies. In the game, we already talked about Blarg, but in the game there are small and large bullies using 2 models. A chill bully appeared in Course 10 Snowman's Land. It too had a small and large model, but only the large model was used. Now for unused textures. One texture in the game is found in Cool Mountain. It is much like the ice texture that is used, but it has cracks in it. The texture probably used to be covering the water hole where Mama Penguin is. A variation was later used in the remake as the texture for the breakable ice pond. In early footage, Bowser had blue eyes instead of red eyes. Also, V.L. Tone, the creator of Toadstool 64, a Super Mario 64 level editor, found textures of what looks like a red, black, and white trampoline with a yellow question mark painted on the side. It would most likely have had the same effect as its predecessors. Now here's text. I'm not going to say it, but I'm gonna just put it on screen of what a Boo was supposed to say in the game, but it was removed and he doesn't say it. Now here's some miscellaneous stuff. A debug function stored in the game is the level select in the menu. Some of the courses have different names, and some symbols can only be seen in the Japanese game. E.g., Womp's Fortress is simply called Mountain. So now we're going to take a look at some screenshots of the early game. So here is the early HUD. It seems to resemble Mario's head from Paper Mario. Yeah, the icon has a little Mario symbol that looks like Paper Mario, and the castle is different. As you can see, it takes place more as a night sky, while as in the final version, it has clouds in the background. I get why, because maybe they wanted it to be more colorful, because that kind of looks a little bit dark, but yeah. We're going to talk about the early version of Cool Cool Mountain. This is the most differentiating level that was changed in the game. It looks completely different. The penguin even looks different. It looks more upset. But that's probably because she lost her baby and, you know, she wants Mario to find it. That's probably why she's upset. But really, she looks different. Now here's an unused, old image of shifting Sandland, I think, because of the Pokey. And the Pokey has a really large smile in this version. I don't know why, but hey, at least that's good. A screenshot of the early Princess Peach's castle. The text says, "Welcome to Mario Wonderland. People who like adventures, go ahead to the castle right up ahead." I don't know why, I guess that's why it was unused, I don't know. Yeah, basically. Early version of Lethal Lava Land. Note that the Power Star had a similar design to those that appeared in Super Mario RPG, The Legend of the Seven Stars, possibly a placeholder. Its texture is still in the ROM. Now there's some unused thwomps. The original meaner looking thwomp. They look a lot meaner in this version. Here's another early Lethal Lava Land. There's some more platforms that look a bit different textured. Early version of Dire Dire Docks. Now as you can see, the different power meter, it's different, and the Mario icon is different as well. There's an early bomb with an early Womp's Fortress. It's pretty cool. Another early of the Womp's Fortress was a bullet bill. And then there's another unused image of Mario collecting a key with the key counter on the screen. The key counter is stored in the game's code, holding up to 6 characters. The U replacing the key symbols, unused Yoshi egg, unused shells. There were supposed to be some shells in the game, but was never in the game. In the final version, an early version of the Bowser fight notes the different HUD. And for the last part of the video, it's more of a trivia, but it's still interesting to talk about. A pre-release screenshot is used on the board of the 2006 version of Nintendo Monopoly. This is evidenced by the colored number displays. So the picture that they used for the Nintendo Monopoly was a picture of Mario 64, but it was not from the final game. It was from the beta of Mario 64, which I think is interesting. Like, really, really interesting. And that was the beta of Mario 64. Oh god, that was really, really, really long. Oh my god. Yeah, so I hope you guys learned what was supposed to be in this game at one point during the development. I think it's really interesting to learn about this stuff. If you guys liked the video, like, comment, subscribe. I hope that you guys really like this video. I know that it's terrible, but it was my first beta video. There will be way more to come, so please stay tuned for that. I can't wait for this series to be big and for you guys to learn about the beta of your favorite games. Alright, so this is Enigma, and I'll see you in the next Beta Fridays. See you next time.